Welcome back to the Business Edge podcast. Today I have a very special episode, different than all of the other episodes. I have Ariel Robinson, the HVAC sales trainer that's trained my crew, has trained many HVAC companies across the country. This recording is from an insider video that is private, that is only available on the inside of our program, but I wanted to share it with you today. It comes from one of our webinars. I know you're going to love it. Ariel is going to talk about closing at the table, how to increase your closing rates, all of that special sauce that he does when he's consulting HVAC companies. So if you have never been on one of our webinars, I know you'll like this one. Sign up for one. I'll put the link here in the description of this. Sign up. We do them all the time. They're free. This one was free. Sign up. I'd love to have you on there. But without delaying, here is Ariel Robinson, the one and only HVAC sales trainer.
What we focus on is consultative selling, needs-based selling, finding out the need and how can I consult that customer to the best option. You're going to find the best consultants in the medical industry. They're going to be doctors, right? Because why is that? Because when you go to a doctor's office, you never feel like you're being sold. But when you go to the doctor's office, you are being sold big time. When you go into the doctor's office, you get triaged. The nurse asks you a few questions. The doctor comes back, maybe confirms those answers to those questions, and then asks some more questions, finding out, hey, how long have you been experiencing these symptoms? What's your exercise life like? What's your diet like? And then that doctor prescribes a remedy, prescribes medication, and so forth, right? And you never feel like you're being sold. And that is the goal in sales, and especially in HVAC sales. That's what we want to accomplish. And I always tell my clients this, right? Here's the punchline is that you want to be a doctor of HVAC. You want to be the best consultant, and you want to make sure your customers never feel like they are being sold. So how do you do that? Is by consulting correctly. And one of the great ways to consult within your sales process, and here's a shameless plug here, if you do not have a sales process, myself or Michael, we can help you with putting together a sales process that's going to run efficiently, something that's short, concise, easy to remember, something that your text can follow, something that you can follow as well to continue to have success in your sales. So shameless plug there, but with your sales process, where's a part or where's a step or where's a phase in your sales process that you can be a consultant? And the answer to that is exactly what we're looking up now, right? We're looking at this presentation screen, right? We're going to start talking about presentation. We're going to start talking about objection handling. But in terms of presentation, it's a great time to be a consultant. Research shows us when you present your estimate in person versus email, it increases your chances of closing by 25 to 30%. Guys, that's huge. How many times have we in the past, right, just left the customer's house and told the customer, hey, we are going to just email you the estimate, right? And we shy away from the actual presentation. We're robbing ourselves. We're robbing the customers from that experience. Here's another statistic, right? 70% of customers feel more confident making a purchase when they interact with salespeople directly, and when we can personalize their menu, or other words, their estimate, they feel more comfortable to make a purchase. 70%. So that means 7 out of 10 of your customers, or a bigger number, if you're looking at it like this, 70 out of 100 customers prefer to have direct interaction with the customer and not you just emailing an estimate over. Last but not least is, watch this, prospects, right? 60 to 70% prospects are less likely to ghost you, right, when you are presenting a menu in person and when you personalize it in real time. 60 to 70%. How many times have you got ghosted by a customer, right? You email that estimate over and you try to call back if you remember, and you don't hear from them again. How many times that happened? Well, data research tells us that 60 to 70% prospects are less likely to ghost you, to not answer, not call you back, right? If you just present the menu in person or present the estimate. So that brings us to this point, right? Why do I prefer the terminology menu over estimate or quote, right? Think about it like this. And you want to work with human psychology. You don't want to work against it, right? So when I say estimate, when I say quote, what is automatically coming to mind to that customer? Think about it, right? They are thinking, oh man, I need to spend money. There's money that I need to spend. So here's a kicker, right? When you say menu, what is that customer thinking about? What's coming to their mind when you say menu? They're thinking restaurant, they're thinking good food. They're thinking, oh, let me ask my waiter or waitress the special today, the lunch special, the dinner special, what's the best on the actual menu. And more importantly, that customer is put in that mindset of, oh, I get to choose. I can choose what I want. And that's what we want to accomplish when we utilize that word menu. And we'll get into this, right, in terms of this teaching of how to utilize that word menu to leave that positive connotation with that customer and not the negative one when they hear estimate or quote, because they automatically think they need to spend money. So let's go ahead and carry on. All right, so this right here, all right, guys, so this right here is going to be what is called an estimate, or what I like to call, just like I explained to you, your menu. This is going to be from House Call Pro. So a lot of you guys are familiar with the good, better, best options, right? I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys have House Call Pro. You may have On Call. You may have Service Titan. Either way, they allow you to tier out the different offers or options that are available. So here's the thing, right? Most of you guys, I'm not saying all, but I'll say most of you guys are either doing one or two things. You're not getting to this point, right? You're not getting to the table to present this to the customer. Or if you are, you're probably presenting it in a good, better, best, and you're not price anchoring. Price anchoring is just starting off with the most expensive option and then working your way down. So you'll start with the best option, then you'll work your way to the better, and then you'll work your way to the good option. So here's the thing, right? I want you guys to use your imagination, right? Imagine that you're your tech or yourself. You just finished doing some equipment inspection, and now it's time to tell the customer what exactly is wrong. You already worked up your menu, which we see here, and now it's time to get to that table or get to the living room, get to that place of comfort for that customer to explain the menu. So when you get to this point, this is what I want you guys to focus on. Let's go to this next screen, right? So here are some things, right? Some word paths, some word tracks to focus on. And remember, right? We talked about this, is that we want to make sure that we are presenting top to bottom, right? We want to price anchor. So we want to start with the best, then the better, and then the good. So here's some basic word paths to follow when you're talking about your menu or you're presenting your menu. So you can tell the customer this: hey, based on what you told me, I feel we're the right fit to help you protect this investment. Why am I doing my hands like this and looking around? Because I want that customer to know that I'm not just talking about their unit. I'm just not talking about an air handle. I'm not talking about their ductwork. I'm talking about this investment, moving my hands, looking around, talking about their home. I want them to realize, like, this is just not protecting or fixing one thing. This is actually fixing and protecting your home, your bigger investment, right? So that's what I'm telling the customer. Then I'll say, hey, let me go over something we call our menu. This will cover different options for your home. And at this point, you're either walking to the table or you're already at the table. You have your iPad, you have your computer out, and you already have your menu built out, just like we saw on this last screen. So what do you want to do, right? Again, some pointers here. You always want to explain top to bottom. So whether it's gold, silver, bronze, whether it's good, better, best, however you have it labeled, you want to present it that way. Now, what you want to do is, and this is something that we teach within the mastermind program, and we talk a lot about, is that during your menu presentation is where the consultative part comes in, is that all the questions, all the information that you gathered from that customer, and when you found out what is most important, you're bringing that back to the forefront. You're bringing that back to the remembrance of that customer. And what you do is, I'm going to go back to the menu. What you want to do is, right, when you're explaining the best option, when you're explaining the better, when you're explaining the good option, what do you want to do? You want to explain only the benefits of your best option that is going to speak to the needs of that customer. Because what happens a lot is that we just word vomit and we start talking about things that do not matter to that customer in front of us. And when we do that, we lose our customer in our presentation. We want to keep them engaged. So we want to only explain the benefits of the best option. And when we explain a benefit or benefits, what are we doing? We're tying that back in to something or some things that they have told us earlier when we were finding out and we were conducting what I call questioning, when we were asking those questions to find out their needs. And we're going to tie in those benefits with what their needs are, what's important to them. We're marrying the two when we're going over that best option. For example, something really basic, I'll keep it super easy, super high level here. If we know that our best option, as it has here, has a 10-year parts and labor, if we were talking with the customer earlier, we did questioning and we asked about their last experience when they got their unit put in and they had a bad experience with only having a unit that had a 5-year labor warranty, we're going to highlight, hey, this actually has a 10-year labor warranty instead of the 5, because I did remember when we were going over, or when we were talking earlier, that you said that your last unit only had a 5-year and you had to come out of pocket on year 6 because it was no longer covered. Well, this is going to cover you for 10 years, right? So you're tying in the benefits with what's important to them. You're tying in what is speaking to their needs, right? Hopefully that's making sense. And then you do the same with the better and you do the same with the good. Now, what really personifies you as a doctor of HVAC is when you prescribe the remedy, when you prescribe the medication, when you prescribe the solution. So here's a little pro tip. Before you get to your menu, before you get here, you're going to want to know already in your mind, right? Product knowledge is going to be key, right? You have to know your product. You're going to have to know in your mind before which option is going to work best for this customer, which option that you are going to consult this customer to based on what they told you during your sales interaction. While you were building rapport, while you were asking questions and discovering what's going to be most important for them, you already know what's going to work best for this customer. So it's very important that we are highlighting that option. So how do we do that, right? So here's an example. Let's say better, the middle of the road option, right, is going to work best. So you're going to explain the best, right? You're going to explain some benefits and you're going to tie it back to what they told you is important for them. You're going to tie it back to some needs. And now let's say you get to the better option. You get to the better option. And then once you get to that better option, this is what I want you to do, right? When you focus your eyes here, when you get to the option, you know it's going to work best for that customer. You say, hey, this is what most customers go with, if that's the case, right? And why are you saying, hey, this is our better option. This is what most customers go with. Why are you saying that? Because again, human psychology is that humans, we like to move in herds. So if everyone's doing it, we like to do it too. You want to normalize that decision that they're about to make, that you're suggesting. You want to normalize it. And you can say, hey, this is our better option. And to be honest, based on what you're facing, the challenges that I see, the issues that you're having, This is what most of my customers would go with. And then you can follow up with, to be honest, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, this is what I suggest for you. And why is that such a powerful statement? Because if you build rapport the correct way, if you were asking the right questions, you spent the time to find out the need, you found the issue, this means the world to the customer, because at this moment, the customer has trust in you. They see that you're genuine. So when you put your personalized touch on it and say, hey, this is what I recommend for you, and then you follow up with the reasons why, based on what they told you during that sales interaction, it is going to wrap up this gift for them. In other words, you're going to be rounding home plate on this sale, and it's going to really position yourself, your techs, whoever, in a better situation or a better position to close the sale when you say, hey, this is what I recommend, and this is the reason why. So let's kind of recap that. So you would go over whatever option it is. In this example, it's better. You would go over and say, hey, this is our better option, just based on what I've seen and what challenges you're having with your unit. This is what most of my customers would go with. And to be honest, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, this is what I recommend for you. And follow up with the reasons why. And then after that, this is what you're going to do next, right? Oops, sorry, give you a little sneak peek there, but this is what you're going to do next. After you explain the better, then you're going to go to the good, and then you're just going to explain, again, just high level, the benefits, and just tie it in with the need. Now, this is where a lot of techs, a lot of salesmen, they drop the ball, right? They explained all the options. They don't know what to say next. I'm going to give you guys some word track on what to say next. So this is what you're going to say next, right? After you explain the options, after you explain the good, better, best, the better, best, good, what you want to do is just say this. Simple as this. Which option works best for you? Which option works best for you? That is it. And when you say that, just stay silent. Just remain silent, because you're going to say which option works best for you. Stay silent. Don't say a word. And make sure when you say it, it's more so as a statement rather than a question. You want to use some tonality, some voice inflection in there. And you want to stay quiet, because the customer is going to say one of 5 things. They're going to tell you, oh, yeah, the better option works, the one you suggested. Or they're going to tell you a time objection. They're going to tell you a price objection. They're going to tell you a belief objection. Or they're going to drag in their spouse and tell you a spouse objection, right? So after you explain those options, you ask which option works best for you. And that's it. You say silent, let the customer answer. And then you're either going to hear one of 5 words, or one of 5 answers, rather. Sorry about that. I want to go with this option. Or you're going to hear one of those 4 main objections. Now, a lot of times what I hear from here is, do you have any questions? Did I not explain anything clearly? What do you think? No, that leaves too much room for the customer to take your sales interaction or your sales experience, your sales journey that you're bringing this customer through too many different ways. Because again, you're the consultant, you're in control. Make sure that you are controlling this sales journey that you're bringing the customer through. So what you want to do is, which option works best for you? And then they're going to hit you with one of 5 things, what you want to hear, or the 4 main objections. So that brings us to the next part of this teaching, where what happens if the customer tells me it's too expensive? What happens if the customer tells me, I don't know, I need a couple more bids? Or what happens if the customer tells you, I need to talk to my wife about it, or my husband about it? Or what happens if the customer tells you, I don't know, I just need some more time to think about it? So those are the 4 main objections you're going to hear. So let's talk about it just real quick, real high level. I want to go over these with you guys and really dive into it. And I want to talk about objection in terms of statistics, right? Research tells us that 60 to 80% of potential sales can be lost if the professional, right, the tech, the salesman, fail to address objections properly, which is a huge, huge objection and huge problem. 48% of people, right, salespeople never attempt to follow up after the first objection. So that means half of salespeople, HVAC, and this is HVAC Pacific statistics, 50% are just saying, hear from the customer, oh, it's too expensive. And they just say, okay, well, I'll call you back or I'll follow up. And that's it. They don't rebuttal back. They don't objection handle. And the reason I believe that is because they never received the training. And that's what we're here for, right? We're here to empower. We're here to train you guys to give you the right tools to close more sales. Last but not least is only 20% of sales are closed on the first attempt. This is more so pertaining to following up and objection, meaning that objections and following up are critical. And that means securing remaining 80% of those sales. So guys, there's some facts, data, logic right there. So let's get into it. Let's talk about it, right? So like I told you before, there's only 4 main objections. There's going to be time, price, belief, spouse, right? And your responses to those objections are going to be huge, right? So a lot of times within those objections, you're going to hear smoke screens, right? What's the most common smoke screen that you'll hear? A smoke screen is a distraction. They're telling you something to distract you from their true objection. And it's our job to uncover that true objection. I'll teach you how to do that. So the most common smoke screen we'll hear is, oh, let me talk to my husband. Let me talk to my wife, right? We hear that all the time. Here's just some pro tips here. You want to isolate the objection. I'll talk about that. And when you're talking about purchasing or buying, always use the word investment. Don't use purchasing or buying. Those are trigger words. Again, we want to work with human psychology, not against it. And last but not least, RC2. What is RC2? It's restate, clarify, and close. That's a formula that we use to isolate the objections and get past them, right? So let's jump into it. So objection 1, right? This is what you'll hear. Hey, I need some time to think about it. I don't know about that, John. I don't know about that, Kimberly. I don't know about that, Jack. I need some time to think about that. That is an objection that you'll hear a lot of times because sometimes customers are just sticker shock. So how would you handle that objection? Here's a way you may handle that objection. I'll break it down in that restate, clarify, close in the next slide. You can say, hey, I understand needing more time. It's a big decision. Typically, right, here's us normalizing the customer's feeling. Hey, typically when I hear this from the customer means that I didn't do a good enough job displaying the value, right? And what you say here is, hey, give me a few more moments. Let me explain this again, perhaps in a different way. Then we can move forward. Does that sound all right? So that's a way that you're able to get past that objection. And let me break down this word path that I've given you guys, right? Let me break that down because this can go different type of ways. And I just want to put this disclaimer out here as well as that I never teach script, right? This is just what I call a blueprint right here. What you guys are seeing is a blueprint. It's not a script. I never want you guys to verbatimly say exactly what you see here. You need to say it in the way that you would say it. Personalize it. It can still have the same message. It cannot lose in its integrity in terms of the message, but still say the same thing because you want to come off as organic as possible to the customer. So let's break that down in the restate, clarify, close. So what does a restate sound like? Hey, I understand needing more time. It's a big decision. You want to validate their feelings. And then also clarify, right? Clarify sounds like typically when I hear this from other customers and what I'm hearing from you, I didn't do a good enough job displaying value in all that we do. Boom, you're clarifying it. You're clarifying what they're feeling and you're probably touching on the exact emotion that they're feeling. Like this is not probably worth it, right? And then to close, hey, give me a few more moments. Let me go over this again, perhaps in a different way. Then we can move forward. Does that sound all right? And when you say that, does that sound all right? It's more so you stating it rather than asking a question. And here's the thing too. I want to just put this out here. Whenever you're objection handling, your goal is to get back to that menu. You want to get back to that menu, give yourself another shot to present. Right? So there's a restate, clarify, close on time. Let's move on. Let's talk about price. So You may hear price, oh, I'm sorry, it's too expensive, or hey, I just can't afford this. You may hear price in different ways, right? So what does that sound like? How do you objection handle price? You can say, I completely understand the price is a significant factor, but from what I'm hearing, it's an upfront cost. It's the upfront cost. And if we're at a more comfortable price point, you'll be willing to move forward. Is that right? Simple enough. Let's break that down and see what that looks like with the restate, clarify, close, right? The RC2. Hey, I completely understand that the price is a significant factor. And then to clarify is, but from what I'm hearing, it's the upfront cost. And if we're able to get you at a more comfortable price point, you'll be willing to move forward. And here's the close. Something I added onto this that wasn't on the other slide. You can say, hey, let's go over the menu again, but this time I can show you a more affordable way to protect your investment, right? We're back with the hand motion. We're back looking around just like we were with the menu. So that is the price objection. Restate, clarify, close. And then what's next, right? It's going to be the belief. And as you can see, I hope you're seeing a common thread, a common pattern in handling each objection, because you're handling everyone relatively the same way. So you may hear this belief, right? I don't know. Let me think about it. Let me get back to you. Or you're my second bid. Let me get back to you. Let me call you back, right? You may hear that in terms of belief. They don't believe that you are their guy. They don't believe that you are their gal. They don't believe that there's value in what you're offering. It kind of ties in a little bit with the time objection, right? But let's break it down. What does that look like? So objection 3 in belief, you can say, hey, I totally understand. I've had customers on the fence before, but if I'm understanding you correctly and what I've seen from past customers, you may have concerns about it being such a big investment. Is that right? You're just confirming that. Let me go over the menu again. While we're reviewing this, any questions pops up, please ask. Sound good? Right? And let's break that down into restate, clarify, close again. So the restate is, hey, I totally understand. I have customers on the fence before. This is amazing, right? Why is that so amazing? Because you're normalizing their feelings and you're validating them. And then it's a clarifying part, right? But if I'm understanding you correctly and what I've seen from past customers, again, that's the validating, that's the normalizing. You may have concerns about it being such a big investment. Is that right? Again, tonality in that. You want to make sure that you are not being too questioned. I guess you're not asking that in question form, but being more assertive and more so making a statement than a question. And then the close is, hey, let me go over the menu again. While we're reviewing this, any questions pop up, please ask. Sound good, right? And you want that confirmation. You want to get back to your menu presentation. Again, you're giving yourself another shot. So that's the restate, clarify, close for belief. Now, let's get to objection number 4. You guys hear this all the time. And let me just put this disclaimer out. You guys can almost, I'll say 7 out of 10 times, 8 out of 10 times, 80% of the time, 70% of the time, you can avoid this objection, meaning that 25% of the objections that you hear, you can eliminate this. And the way that you can eliminate this is by having the customer, whether it's the husband or the wife, make sure that their spouse is there. Schedule so that the spouse is there with them. Or if they cannot, see if you can phone in, maybe you can FaceTime in, and that way you can eliminate this objection that you're going to hear. Because what do we hear all the time? Let me talk to my husband, let me talk to my wife, then I'll get back to you. But guess what? No brainer here. If both of them are there, if both of them are, whether it's, one on the phone, one in person, whatever, or both of them actually in the flesh in front of you, they're not going to say, hey, let me talk to my husband and wife, because the husband and wife, they're right there with you. So you can actually eliminate this objection, I would say 70 to 80% of the time by just setting the right expectation and scheduling. So with that being said, if all else fails, this is what you're going to want to do. It's a little bit different because it's a different approach because it gets complex. But bear with me. Let's go through this and let's dive right in. Sorry, the slide's a little funky here, but you can still see a little bit of it. So when a customer says this, right, when they tell you, hey, let me speak to my spouse, let me speak to my husband, speak to my wife, you can say this as simple as possible. And this is really simple. You can say, hey, I completely understand. I've been married for 10 years. And you definitely want to include your spouse in this huge investment or this big investment. And then you turn the tables here, guy. You say, hey, how long you guys been married for? Customer may say 5 years, 3 years, may say 10 years, maybe 15 years. Just read the situation, right? Utilize some emotional intelligence. See who you're in front of, right? And then you can say, well, hey, it makes sense why you want to include them. And then you can make a statement and say, hey, I'm pretty sure you know them. I'm pretty sure you know your spouse well, don't you? You can ask a question like that, make a statement like that. And then you can turn the tables again and say, hey, based on what we went over, what objections do you think your spouse may have, right? And let's rewind. Let's say that you're a single person, right? You're not married, right? You can just maybe refer to a family member that's been married, maybe refer to your parents that have been married, and you can ask these same questions, right? Hey, how long you been married for? And then you just throw that part in there. Hey, it makes sense you want to include them. I'm pretty sure you know your spouse well. Hey, based on what I went over, what objections you think they'll have? And you let them answer. Now, there's different ways. Like I have this in bold and underline. There's different ways this can go. It can go like this. If the spouse answers, yeah, actually, they're not going to like the price. What you want to do is you want to verify that that's not the spouse's objection first, right? You want to make sure that's not the spouse's objection in front of you, right? The person in front of you, you want to verify that's not their objection. And look, this is the way, right? This is the way you clear up the smokescreen if there is one. And this may lead to the true objection. So you got to be ready to restate, clarify, close, because the customer may say like, yeah, this is its price. And they still may just be saying that to get you out of their face, right? Or to smokescreen you or to swerve you. But you want to make sure that that's not their objection. Because if they say, yeah, it is my objection, then you want to restate and clarify, close with the person in front of you. Now, if the spouse answers no, then you want to verify that they don't have any objections. Again, just like we did with this last example. And if there's any reservations that they may have on the menu that you went over, that you presented, and you want to make sure that you, again, are ready to restate, clarify, close, because they may say, yeah, matter of fact, I think I just need time to think about it. Or matter of fact, I don't like the price. Or matter of fact, yeah, I just need to get other bids, right? You just need to be ready to restate and clarify and close. And last but not least, right, always remember that this objection, right, can be avoided with the proper planning and expectation. Don't laugh at me. I spelled expectation wrong. I see that. But again, you want to make sure that you set yourself up. This objection, which is a commonly used objection by consumers, by our customers, it can be avoided if we plan correctly. So just remember that pro tip, guys. So that's all that I have there, guys, for this teaching. I hope you got a lot of value from it. I hope it really hit home. I hope you guys are excited about joining our Masterminds program. I believe you're going to get a lot of value from it, a lot of good sales gym. You're going to be able to scale and grow. And don't forget about our bi-weekly coaching sessions. We have live group coaching sessions bi-weekly, whether it's in the growth arena or it's in the sales arena. We're going to go over objection handling. We're going to go over a menu presentation. We're going to go over building rapport. We're going to go over questioning. We're going to go over the follow-up process. We're going to go over so many different things that's going to help you scale your business. So make sure, guys, that you are tuning in. Make sure that you are making sure that you are honing in on the program and the courses. Go through them. There's a lot of value in there, and you're going to see improvements. You're going to see changes. You're going to see the results that you want to see, the results that you've been waiting for. Thank you, guys, and I'll see you in the mastermind.